Welcome to the KSW Painting Euro V8 Supercars series live on Apex Racing TV. I'm Sam Fitzpatrick, alongside me is Marco Babnet, also on the cameras tonight as well. And we're here at sunny Imola, a circuit, Marco, where you have attended a F1 race, the 2001 race, if I recall correctly. And in that race, I think there was only one overtake, and this that is a characteristic of this circuit. Not the easiest to overtake round. But in this star-studded lineup tonight, I'm sure we're going to see some fantastic racing nonetheless.
Hello everyone, yes, I was talking about this to one of my friends earlier, and I said to him, I say the same facts every track we go, and every time we go to Imola I talk about that race where there's only been one overtake, Villeneuve overtaking Panis in a team order from BAR. That was 2002, you were very close, but we have some changes. The track is a bit better, with a couple of chicanes removed, a little bit faster, and of course we are commentating on one of the best championships we have on Apex Racing TV, the Euro V8 Supercar Championship, sponsored by KSW Paintings, and you know, action aplenty every time in this track and in this championship. And of course the classic two race format for tonight: sprint race, reverse, and then the feature race coming up immediately after that one. So it's going to be a great evening of racing. We have all the big names and some new names and some new teams, and I really cannot wait as qualifying is about to end.
Yeah, still got about 2.5 more minutes to go, so Tony Policeman just starting this update. Remember, in these league sessions, unlike the official series, once they cross the line, even if the time runs out straight after, they can still complete their lap time. So that's quite an importance for a few drivers out there, but still, yeah, just everyone out there seemingly trying to improve on their lap times. Tony currently in 4th place, a master qualifier, but he's a little bit out of shape there. He'll be hoping for another good result in the championship. Nicole Foggy, after his win at Le Mans, it was an incredible win at Le Mans, passing Johnny Brandon on the last lap. He leads, but only by 15 points over his teammate. Tony Klosterman is in 3rd position with his teammate Chris Jackson in 4th, and we have Richard Warmingham in 5th, Greg Carr in 6th, Nikolai Bogotayev in 7th, Howard Stadler is in 8th, Anthony Woodward in 9th, and Gary Croft is in 10th place. There's a few other drivers further down the field, for example, Ev Doka and Tanaka as well, and Rapriga, who have missed one round. That's the reason why they're a little bit lower down the field, but still relatively early on in the season. And well, it's good to see Michael up there once again. Marco, seemingly the two XVR boys once again on the front row of the grid as it stands, but it's clear to see that the pack, I think, is closing up quite a bit as drivers get accustomed to this car.
Yes, and also I think, if I'm not mistaken, a nice new sponsor and team branding sponsor for Fitzai Motorsports should be TechSense, if I'm not mistaken, proudly displayed on the sides of the car as Tony Klosterman goes on the start-finish line. But it doesn't improve. You, of course, can tell us more about this, and I think the project file should be updated already with the new team name. So nice livery, a little bit. I mean, it's the same as it was the previous weeks, but with a new sponsor there. I really miss the blue, you know, but it's cool livery nonetheless.
Absolutely, I forgot to load up the paint pack, so can't even appreciate it.
Why am I not surprised?
The problem is, I get so accustomed to these liveries because I don't change them for like 12 months. And so when I change them, I'm scared that I'm not going to know who on earth is who. But George McClay, also, I think, joining Pitstop Motorsport as well for this series. And he's currently very strong. Good to see McClay back in this championship. The time has just clocked down to 0. So these drivers have got to complete the lap that they're currently on. Just looking for drivers out there at the moment. I think Nicole Foggy maybe is still on a lap. Chris Jackson is certainly still on a lap going into this very fiddly chicane. Who thought that was a good idea? It was all to slow down the cars, and it certainly slowed down Chris Jackson on the exit of that corner. He's still nearly getting on the grass as well. the never quit racing driver. He's not going to appear on this lap, and he realizes that because he's already lifting off. And well, he's going to be starting in 5th position, seemingly. Edward Rapriger currently in the top 10, looking to improve on that position. He's 1/10 down on Hal Stadler. Could move up into 8th position if he can really nail these couple of corners. And Stadler also trying to improve on his lap himself. Rapriger rounds the final corner, approaching the start finish line. This is where the old chicane used to be, of course, but now, of course, removed. And it has greatly improved the overtaking around this circuit and also made it a grade 1 circuit. Could be used for F1, but they haven't quite taken that decision despite a few rumours. And how Stadler approaching the line, Rapriger failed to improve. Can Stadler move up the order? No, he can't. So I think that's everyone across the line, and we can now go through the grid for race 1 of the evening, meeting 4 of the season. And it's Johnny Brandon on pole position by 1/10 of a second over Nicole Foggy, very close back to Michael Abdoka in 3rd. Tony Kliesman, unusually for him, down in 4th in qualifying, just ahead of his teammate Chris Jackson. George McClay on his return, a strong 6th. Victor Tanaka lines up in 7th with Richard Warmingham in 8th. There's Harold Stadler and Edward Rapriger in 9th and 10th. Behind that is Philip Antonia, Nikolai Bogotayev, David Fielder, Chaz Jacot, Anthony Woodward, Michael Mueller, Sergei Glazkov, Gary Crott, Alex Mas, good to see him back, and Michael Frost rounding out the top 20. Behind that is O'Connor, Hoffman, and Thompson. Good to see Thompson out there as well. So, Marco, what can we expect from this one? Is it going to be a domination from XVR, and how important is the start of this race?
I think that XVR have proven that they have the same pace, the same, quickness of the past seasons. And last season they were fantastic, of course, wanted to win the championship. We will see if Evdoka has gotten his ring rust away after the first rounds where he had the chance to get back into using this car. And my pick for this race is Johnny Brandon. An easy pick, I know, because he's starting from pole position, but I think he can be the one to win this race.
Well, will that prediction be correct? Usually your predictions, Marco, are horrendously wrong. So Johnny was certainly hoping that you are correct this time. Probably just the last one to get onto the grid. Johnny and Nicole actually managed to qualify for the V8 Scots. Well done to them. I think they've qualified at least. I know they did very well. So hopefully they'll be in that championship. Of course, the Premier class for this car, as they are now on the grid. And we can get underway here at Imola, as the lights will come on. Johnny Brandon away from pole position, and it's a very good start for him. He's going to be able to stay ahead of Foggy. Evdoka trying to challenge, going down into turn 1. It's such a narrow part of the circuit, this. And side by side goes the XVR drivers, and they do maintain that 1-2 position. Just behind Evdoka and Klusman, and Jackson. Tanaka's got past McClay already, but Brandon did well there, and despite that great start from Evdoka, just couldn't really do anything with it.
Yeah, there's a car missing the rear part. It's Michael Mueller. We will get very soon to the bottom of what happened there, as also we have some major overtaking, shuffling of positions in the mid-pack, but back in the front it's the two XVR boys, Brandon and Foggy, as Andrew Hoffman is having some problems as he lost a bit of time, and now side by side with Michael Mueller as they go up the hill, battle for last place, but very hard racing indeed. And it all seems to be okay now as we go to Acque Minerali, my favorite corner name in the world, which every time I say, it means mineral waters in Italian, so it's a nice name for a corner.
Any reason why it's called that?
I have absolutely no idea. I know that there is a river that goes just by the track, the Santerno River, the reason why they had to do the chicane at Tamburello, and the reason why sadly because why there was no runoff area when Senna and many other drivers crashed there. There's a river right next to the wall there. As they go into Rivazza 1 and they're about to complete their first lap, no major casualties, even though Michael Mueller is having problems, and we will immediately go back to what happened at the start very quickly to see what happened to Michael Mueller, missing the rear part of his car.
Yeah, started in 16th position, but straight away dropped
Okay.
down. He just did not get away whatsoever. Not quite sure what the reason for that was. And yeah, Michael quite far down the order. Now it's Brandon maybe having to go defensive against Foggy. Of course, these two, the top drivers in so many different championships. Looks like I'm going to be able to prevent them winning the BSR Radical Championship potentially, but they're still both in play for that one. And of course, Nicole not having a great time in the World GT Championship. They're also both fighting in the World F3 Championship. Evdoka initially dropped about a second behind, but on this lap seems to have been able to maintain that gap. And it'll be interesting to see what Foggy's tactics are. Also, a little bit of a queue forming behind Klosterman. Jackson and McLean, look at that, it's pretty much half the field seemingly, all within touching distance. Of course, only lap 2 of this race as Jackson's all over the place, and this is going to leave him vulnerable from George McClay. McClay going to the outside, there's also trying to get involved as well is Tanaka, as Jackson takes the inside line. That's the only line you can really take, and you can't go around the outside of that corner. And now it's McClay who may be under pressure from Tanaka just behind. Stadler and Warmingham quite close behind as well. Of course, big braking zone down here in these V8s, and it's an opportunity maybe for the move. McClay goes wide. Almost contact between the two of them, and Tanaka moves up a position. Nicely done.
Nice to have Tanaka back in the championship. Sadly, he is now using the up-to-date livery for NQR. I really like the old livery, I say this every time. As Foggy, fastest lap of the race, 43.6.
Yeah, he was right on the rear of his rival going into turn 1. Of course, so easy in these V8 cars around this circuit to spin up the tyres, overheat them. And, well, that just makes it more and more difficult to drive this car. And eventually a mistake can ensue. Evdoka doing absolutely everything he can to stay in touch with these two. They can't afford to fight one another too hard, otherwise Michael will get himself involved. But he was slightly slower on that lap, about 1.2 seconds off the lead as it stands.
Listen to the
really
backfires. Fantastic sound of the backfires as they go into Acqua Minerali. Very tough corner, and this runoff area here on the left. You have to be super careful. 1 centimeter too much on the left and you get a big slowdown.
Yeah, plenty of drivers have fallen victims to that. Also, Brandon actually crashed at that corner in the BSR Radical earlier on this season. Just ran a little bit too wide, as you say, Marco, and lost traction, and into the wall he went. He'll be hoping that he doesn't commit that crime once again, as Jaycott has a little bit of an issue, and he's now picked up a slowdown. Not quite sure where that was. That could have been Acqua Minerale or maybe the chicane straight after. But it has dropped him down 1 position. Alex Mass now at 5 positions from his race start. Really not many movers down there. Really, Mass is the only driver who's gained or lost more than 3 positions. And here it was from Draycott. Did he take too much of the first one? No, he just went way too wide out there. And, well, that's how you can pick up a slowdown.
Exactly. You can either get it, like you were saying, going too much on the inside or too much on the outside when you go out in that runoff area. So, Michael Evdoka, by the way, is closing in on his opponents in front. And, you know, I'm not expecting, you know, I think that Foggy really needs to push if he wants to get, if he has the pace, we don't know, but if he wants to run away from Evdoka, he needs to pass Brandon as soon as possible. Easier said than done, because if these two XVR guys keep the status quo as it is, they are still, to me, slower than Evdoka alone. So we'll see if Evdoka is able to close the gap and form a 3-car train for the race win, as Tony Klusterman has got a big slowdown here.
Yeah, he's going to drop behind his teammates and McClay as well. Shouldn't be any worse than that, but we have seen a couple of times this season from Tony, as has he taken too much curb again there? No, should get away with that until we see the two never quit pacing drivers side by side. This is the battle for 4th position. Tanaka is going to be able to move ahead, and he's now overtaken both of his teammates, Klusman and Jackson. and of course overtook McClay as well not too far long ago. So Tanaka doing absolutely brilliantly out there, up into the top fours. Evdoka makes a slight mistake, I believe, on this lap.
Yeah.
He's now dropped 1.5 seconds off second place.
He went wide at Rivazza as Alex Mas got a slowdown as well, letting many other cars by. And this is how it works with the new iRacing circuits, as we have Klusterman trying to get one back on George McClay. You may not be punished by many off tracks like at Le Mans, but you get a lot of slowdown areas as Andrew Hoffman is in the pit lane due to some issues.
Now on the outside goes McClay. Oh, this is going to invite Klosterman down the inside, but to be fair to Tony, kept his nose out of that one. Maybe a little bit aggressive there from McClay, trying to take the apex, trying to get the best launch possible. Tanaka being able to scamper away from these guys, and look at this, Stadler and warming him now trying to get involved. As Mass tries to make up a few positions once again. He had already gained 5 positions, but he's just lost 3. And, well, he's can't make the move here as Lane O'Connor. Well, it's a good race so far for XVR, but that's a little bit of an issue for them. O'Connor drops to the back.
Yes, here we go with a replay, and he was trying to pass, I think that is Michael Mueller, yeah, the car missing the rear end, and he went around the Tosa. Nothing more than that, but in a short race like this, it's imperative that you get, as little mistakes as possible. As we see Jackson going wide, deep in the gravel. McClay goes by, Klusterman goes by. 2 positions lost for the number 11 driver, as Johnny Brennan under big pressure from Michael Evdoka. From Nicole Foggy, of course.
Here comes Foggy, he's off the circuit going to turn 1. Can he muscle his way round here? They're almost outbraking themselves. Foggy gets the inside for the second part, but he cannot quite make it move. And, well, Brandon, that was very staunch defenses. Here comes Evdoka. He's managed to gain about 0.6 of a second just through that chicane, but he's not close enough for the move. And that's how much time fighting around this circuit can cost you. And that's why XVR really do need to build up a gap, because if that gap was any smaller, Evdoka would have been with a great chance of upsetting this 1-2.
Some more problems for Richard Wormingham. Let's see what happened here. As he was going into the first chicane. Oh! Around he went once again, but didn't lose too much time.
It was a nice slide, to be fair to him. And like I said, he didn't lose too much time there. As well, this is all going on. Oh, Brandon gets tapped around slightly. He did kind of shut the door, to be fair, sorry, that was Jacob.
Yeah, it was a record. Yeah.
Just behind who's had an issue. You know what happened to Rapiga to fall down into 17th. Mass is now back up 6 positions, so he's overtaken about 10 cars out there. And this is what happened to Rapiga. Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Well, how he hasn't hit a wall there, I do not know.
Unbelievable save there. So we had some very many potential close calls, but no big one so far, as this fight for the lead is getting absolutely tasty with the top 3, and dare I say, together with Tony Klusterman, I think 3 of the most winningest, if that is a word, drivers in the history of this championship. All nose to tail, this is exactly what we want to see, and we are basically coming around the halfway mark of race 1, and look at that, they are inside 0.8 of a second, Brandon, Foggy and Evdoka. What more can you want from race 1?
Exactly, and if we've learned anything from this race 1, it does show that despite, of course, overtaking being much better than it was before the chicanes were removed from this circuit, it is still difficult. So that reverse grid, of course, for race 2 of the evening could be a very interesting one, especially if we get a big reverse grid. Remarkably in this series, we always seem to have very small reverse grids. We always seem to have kind of 6 or 8 cars. But hopefully today we'll have about 13, 14 cars. Would make race 2 really interesting, and there maybe an opportunity for a surprise victor. Well, wait, Victor Tanaka. Oh, I'm going to use that pun later on. Oh, that's gold. I haven't seen that one. But he is lapping marginally faster than these drivers. So too, actually, is George McClay. Of course, they're way too far off these guys to be able to challenge. They're about 6 seconds off the rear. But it does show that they've got pretty good pace up there as we start lap 8 of this race. Pretty much the halfway point, or coming up to the halfway point. And, well, top 3 separated by less than half a second. Avdoka seems to have really good straight line speeds, closing in on these guys. And, well, of course, Marco, we saw a fantastic race in the World Championship Grand Prix series with Peter Bayman leading the way, holding back Martin Kroenke and Mitchell de Jong. And of course, Bayman eventually made a mistake with wearing tyres into turn 1. I think that's going to be the case for Brandon. If he does lose this position, it's just going to be a tiny outbreaking mistake that's going to, yeah, make him reluctant this lead.
Yes, and we know that these cars tend to get very, very bad when the tires get worn out. Might be more of an issue in race 2, even though I haven't read the usual Tony Klusterman pre-race notes. I will in the in the meantime between race 1 and race 2. But yes, still it's only 16 laps, but these cars are known for really being very, very hard on the tires. So yes, and when we are talking about Brandon, Foggy, Evdoka, these drivers are so good that the smallest mistake can make a big impact in the final results of the race. So they know this, they are trying to do their best. The pressure is huge on them, but they know how to handle it. And if I can be honest with you, I think that Evdoka is in the best position of them all.
Right, okay. Well, what Evdoka needs to do, let's face it, he's going to struggle to make the move. He's just got to make sure he preserves those tyres, make sure that they don't overheat too much, as we've got Fielder and Antonia. This was, oh dear, Massa's spun it again. So he's gone from 18th to 14th, and then gone from 12th to 13th. And, well, this is Alex Mass dropping back down to 15th now. And picking up a slowdown, I think, on the inside there. And, yeah, losing a couple of positions. Here he comes on Sergei Glazkov now. We've also got Warmingham and Fielder, so I think it might be worth paying attention to that one. Although that actually has just ended, so Mass going for the move. It's going to be a tough one. Glazkov almost understaying Mass off the circuit there. Oh, has he got it stopped?
Oh!
No, I think Mass just gave him a tiny helping hand as well. I think it was going round anyway, and Mass is up into 14th place. That's not good whatsoever for Sergei Glazkov.
Super quickly, we have the replay, so we can get back on the live stream of the race. Yes, he went around, or nothing they could do there, and a little bit of lag contact as well. It's unfortunate when it happens, but there's nothing really the drivers can do. Back to the front of the pack. As soon as I say that Evdoka is in the best position, he drops back just a bit. And once again, Brandon and Foggy are slightly pulling away.
Yeah, of course, Brandon and Foggy, the top 2 in the championship, no doubt the favourites for the championship. So, you know, they're going to be relatively brutal to one another. I think they desperately want those points. But at the same time, they don't want to give any points to Michael Evdoka, of course, the Season 5 champion. Brandon, the Season 6 champion. And Nicole Foggy still without a season plus, but he's only completed 1 full season, was a narrow runner-up to Brandon last season, of course leading the way in this championship. As once again, Brandon, I haven't seen him miss an apex. I haven't seen any of these guys miss an apex so far. This is incredible intensity currently.
Yes, let's go on board with Nicole Foggy so we can appreciate the lines that these guys are taking, especially Foggy and the race leader Johnny Brandon, as we are in lap 10 out of 16. So there is not much time left for these guys. I know that they are teammates, Foggy and Brandon, but they know that they are rivals as well. And, Finnish want to win the championship, so they fought for the championship until the final round of the season, last season. As I think that Foggy will go for a move eventually, but being his teammate, I think he's maybe holding off just a bit, and then they say, okay, last lap everything goes or something like that, because Of course, they don't want to gift the win away to a very, very dangerous rival as Michael Evdoka in third.
Yeah, and they could be in the same Discord server as well. So if he did go for a move and it was ill-fated, then well, I'm sure he'd hear the repercussions of it straight away. Here was Warmingham making up a position. Ooh, well, oh, to be fair to him, he actually let Harold Stadler back past. That's very generous from Richard. Very gentlemanly. Here was how Kloosterman got past Jackson. And, bit of contact. Very odd between the pair of them. But yeah, Kloosterman is now ahead of Jackson after Jackson was trying to chase McClay. Oh, sorry, Jackson was trying to get past Kloosterman. Apologies, because, of course, Jackson went off at Rivatsa earlier on. As Brandon still leading. It did certainly appear as though Foggy did have the advantage. It just looked like he had a little bit more confidence with the front of the car. But he can't really manifest it into a overtaking move at the moment. It's so difficult to overtake in this car. Of course, a lot of slow corners around this circuit. And so you can't have the concertina effect where the driver ahead is always going to get on the throttle that bit earlier than you. And the slipstream effect is very weak in this car as well. But good news for these two at least is that they are dropping Evdoka now nearly 2 seconds off the lead. Just hasn't quite got the pace to keep up with these guys.
Let's say that was just a little bit of commentator's curse on Evdoka because, yeah, as soon as I said that he was in the best seat in the house, he dropped quite significantly from these two. Matter of few tenths of a second per lap, but when we are talking about such amazing drivers, of course, like I said earlier, it's so easy to lose a lot. As you can see on the right side of the screen, the track map, so you can get a general idea of where your favorite driver is. As we are getting into lap 12 out of 16, Sam, so if Foggy wants to go for a move, he has to wait, as we have Kloosterman and Jackson. Jackson getting the position back.
Yeah, must have just been a super good run there for Jackson getting past Kloosterman. They have been able to drop Stadler. And, oh, it was a slowdown actually for Tony. So Chris must have only just got there in time. Unless he was letting past his teammate after that little kerfuffle we saw earlier on. But, well, Jackson was pretty deep on the brakes there, and nicely done there from Chris. But these two certainly are going to be dark horses for the second race of the evening. If they maintain those positions and if we get a relatively small reverse grid. Also got Warmingham trying to get past Stadler. Warmingham recently got past Antonia, I think. No, I think he got past... No, sorry. Warmingham's been ahead of Antonia for the whole race, but him and Stadler pretty much been glued to one another for the entire time. Stadler still holding on. They had a bit of an incident down this corner a few laps ago with Warmingham letting Stadler past eventually. And they are catching up to Kloosterman in 2.5 seconds. Now, Kloosterman just set a 47, compared that to the leaders, low 44s.
Once again, these two are super close as they go into Acqua Minerali. Stadler is in front in the orange and black car, not getting the best of entries, and that means that Warmingham gets past and up to P8 as the leaders are about to finish another lap and start a new one. As we can get a general idea of the cars on the grid, it's old and fast, but Nico Fogg is driving a Ford. Why have I only noticed this right now?
Of course, the Ford has the kind of duct on the bonnets. There's a little bit of obscurity for the driver. Ever so slightly affects their vision, but the cars apart from that are absolutely identical with the physics and everything. So no advantage, but Marco does like Ford, so there you go.
Yes, so nice choice by Foggy. He must have noticed that after last season, when his teammate won the title in the Ford and he was in the old, and maybe something, it's the magic that makes you go faster, I think. So, but yeah, all jokes aside, Brandon and Foggy, 0.3 of a second between the pair of them, as we are in lap 13 out of 16. So when they go to the line, they will have 3 laps left. And Foggy is about, I think, to unleash a possible overtake. I sense it. I think it's very, very close. How much will he risk? I have no idea.
Well, I think turn 1 is probably going to be his best chance, just muscling his way around the outside turn 1. He's very good at that chicane, though. And well, he's going to be pretty close come the 2 Natsuki corners as Antonia loses out to Fielder. These two have been glued together for the entire race. Because I haven't seen too much of him, but he's right in this mix as well. These guys, you know, very consistent midfield drivers. Woodward, another 2.5 seconds behind as well. Matt, where you think if it weren't for all of Matt's issues, could have been in this pack as well, but with a couple of slowdowns for him, has affected him quite badly. Is going way over the curb there was David Fielder. I think he's going to get a slowdown here. He seems to have actually got away there. Maybe it's impossible to get a slowdown through that second bite. He's going to have to go defensive though, but he doesn't. Down the inside goes goes Antonia. That couldn't quite make the move.
I think we have an issue for Gary Croft. Here the variante alta. More than an issue, I think, yes. As then he went around there after some contact. I think that was Raplager.
Yeah, that was the battle for 16th position, I believe. Mueller benefiting from that. Still, these two glued together. Evdoka's really dropped back now. Tanaka and McLeay have been able to keep up their pace, to be fair, in comparison to these guys, but Evdoka maybe just resigning to 3rd position here. Still be very good points for him. And look how close Foggy is. The problem for Foggy is this is his best, or how close he gets. And it's into a corner where it's pretty much impossible to overtake, especially against your teammate, because it's one way. And once again, 0.3 of a second. It's just about hoping that Brandon makes a mistake through these next 2 corners, which allows Foggy to have a bit of a run at him going into turn 1.
No, another chance that he might have is that at the Variante Alta there, he forces Brandon into getting a slowdown. But the way Brandon has been so clean and so tidy on all of his corners, all of his apex today, that won't be an easy thing to do.
Down to 0.2 of a second. Foggy a little bit earlier on the brakes. Just wants to nail these exits. Of course, going into the next chicane, pretty much impossible. Once again, there's a very few select opportunities. And even in this car, it's impossible. It's almost impossible to go for a dive from about 1/4 of a second back. Really is difficult. As Brandon with a little bit of a slide. Foggy with a bit of a slide as well. He was almost in range for a dive there. And around this part of the circuit, pretty much impossible.
Yes, it's follow the car in front of you here, as Fog is dropping a little bit back from Brandon as they go through Acque Minerali. Like I said, the only way you can get past in this part of the track is if you force your opponent into a mistake, which doesn't seem to be the case, as Foggy is really dropping 0.8 of a second now from his teammate. So either he gave up or I didn't see him making any kind of mistake there, so maybe he's a little bit short on fuel, but I doubt it. Let's see, but Brandon seems to be pulling away significantly, and that could be what he needed to get the race in the bag.
Yeah, you got a little bit of wheel spin coming out of the hairpin, did Nicole. Maybe just heated up those tires a bit too much, reduced his confidence for the next few corners. As we move on to lap 16, the final lap of the race here at Imola. And it looks as though Johnny Brandon is going to take another race victory. I'm not sure how many this would be. I think this would be his first of the season. Did not realise that he's been so often second position. This would be his first win of the season. Nicola's got 2 wins. And, well, I'm not quite sure if this would put Johnny ahead in the championship. I think these two have been able to run without any instance. Of course, if you don't pick up any instance in this series, you get a bonus 10 points for that race. And so these two would have been very keen on achieving that 10 points, the difference between first and second positions as well. So that's how important it is to keep it on the grey stuff. And they have succeeded with that seemingly. But yeah, Brandon on course for his first race win of the season as Nicole seems to just drop further and further back.
Yes, as we are getting into the final corners of this first race, and Brandon seems to be absolutely in control as the gap goes down to 0.8 of a second, but of course it won't matter now as Brandon goes to Rivazza 1 and Rivazza 2 and the checkered flag is waiting for him.
Yep, here he comes. He's had to wait till meeting 4 as Johnny Branton, but he's going to return to the top step of the podium and maybe the top of the championship as well. He wins at Imola. Race 1 goes his way. His teammate Nicole Foggy in second place. Michael Docker a valiant third. Very close between Warmingham and Stadler currently. About 0.2 of a second. Between these two, we've got cars off the circuit. That's a driver lap down, I believe. As we've got side-by-side Stadler being overtaken by Warmingham right at the end. Fantastic dueling between these two. Stella's going to try to respond, but the line comes up pretty quick round here. And, well, he will hold on with Richard Warmingham to 8th position. This one's still going on as well. Fielder, Bogotayev, Woodward, Antonia. And that is how they will finish. Also got Rapriga and O'Connor. So yet to cross the line. Mass finishes in 14th. Quite a eventful race for him. And O'Connor's not going to be able to respond against Rapriga in 20th position.
Yes, the drivers come to the start-finish line. We had a couple of issues in this final lap. The first is from Tony Klusterman, although I don't think he lost any kind of positions from this mistake, which we are showing right now, as he was getting into the Variante Alta. I think he went around, but no positions lost. A big hit on the rear end of the car, but no, if you want to have a problem there. Oh, wow! And after that we had a crash also, I think, from Philip Antonia. He had a problem. Here he was, the white and blue car, and he went around after some contact into the gravel and lost many positions. So that was the reason why he dropped so many places, but in the end it was Johnny Brandon winning from pole position. What a fantastic race, under pressure all race long, and he was able to get the win in the end.
Yeah, certainly a test of his mind there for Johnny Branton, but he does come out on top here at Imola. Second position, Nicole Foggy, his teammate. Michael Dock only 4 seconds off the lead. Good effort from him in third. Victor Tanaka, great drive from him. Had to overtake 4 drivers on course to 4th position. George McClay, great 5th position on his return. Chris Jackson and Tony Kliesman were struggling a little bit there, but never quit racing in 6th and 7th. There's Richard Warringham in 8th, just about beating Harold Stadler. David Fielder rounds out the top 10. Behind that was Nikolai Bogotayev, Anthony Woodward, Philip Antonio, of course, losing those positions later on. Alex Mass had a couple of issues, finishes in 14th. Chaz Draycock with a bit of a quiet race, but a solid 15th for him. Michael Mueller finishes in 16th with Sergei Glazkov in 17th. Gary Croft was in 18th. Edward Rapriga in 19th. Lena Connor in 20th. And Andrew Hoffman was 3 laps down in 21st position. And so, Marco, our favourite time of the event, we get to spin the wheel to decide who will be on pole position for race 2 of the evening.
Exactly, and the reverse wheel should be on your screen right now. And tonight we have a very, very, very special guest wheel spinner, and is a series occasional driver Alessandro Dalle Donne, who is visiting here, and he will do the all-important click on the button. You can hear he's very excited. Alessandro, let's roll it.
This could be a thing, couldn't it? We could get Philip Schofield on this, you know?
Okay, he will be fired on the spot because we only get 6 reverse for race 2.
Poor quality. Poor quality. Well, that means Chris Jackson will be on pole position with George McClay in second place. I said earlier on, I want a reverse grid of 13, 14. Yeah, nope, it's going to be a reverse of 6. Well, that's unlucky news for Tony Klusman and everyone behind that. But great news for Chris Jackson and George McClay. They'll start on the front row of the grid for what should be a fantastic race 2 of the evening here at Imola. We'll be back in about 20 minutes' time for the conclusion of round 4 of the season.
Question? Great job, you did really well.
Growing up as a kid in Oklahoma, where I'm from, the Chili Bowl is the biggest race that we have. The Chili Bowl has kind of been my favorite race of the year. Growing up a dirt racer in Oklahoma, that's kind of the holy grail.
Welcome back to Apex Racing TV and the KSW Painting Europe 8 Supercar Series Race 2 here at Imola, meeting 4 of the season. I'm Sam Fitzpatrick, and once again I'm joined alongside by Marco Barbier. Marco, that first race, we didn't see any overtakes for the lead. The top three were constant throughout, but it was an incredibly tense race. And I think with such a small reverse grid, I think we're going to see that same tension shown in race 2 as well.
Yeah, exactly. There are two kinds of races that I really like. One are the races with a lot of overtakes, especially for the lead, but I also love races where the leader or leaders are put under constant pressure, and it's a matter of if they can handle the pressure or if they crack under pressure. And clearly Johnny Brandon thrived under pressure because he was so perfect today. He was absolutely spot on in all the 16 laps of race 1, and he got rewarded with a nice race victory, but all of the guys at the front got also a little bit rewarded by this very small reverse grid, only 6, so if they can get out of the first corner without any kind of issues, I'm expecting more of the same, even though it's a tough pass to overtake here. So it's easy to say it before the race. We will see how the race will play out eventually. And also remember, we have double the distance of race 1. So we will have 32 laps this time around.
Yeah, so quite a long race this. About 50 minutes in length. So really is very tough for these drivers. We used to have even longer races in this series before they were cut down ever so slightly, just to make it a little bit of a quicker broadcast. I think it makes the racing a little bit closer as well, instead of it dragging out a little bit. But 32 laps, of course, we always get our tips from Tony Kloosterman, who lets us know what the strategy is going to look like. And of course, we can kind of say that now because I don't think any of the drivers are going to be able to take advantage of it. But it should be a pit stop about midway through, where every driver will take tyres, because the fuel round here, it's an odd circuit in terms of it does require a lot of fuel to get around here, and so the fuel will take longer than tyres, and so it's a bit of a no-brainer as the session advances, and we can go through the grid now. And on pole position is Chris Jackson, ahead of George McClay on the front row. Victor Tanaka was very competitive in race 1. Could be a dark horse here. He starts in 3rd with Michael Abdoka in 4th. Nicole Foggy starts in 5th place with Johnny Brandon in 6th. And then behind that was Tony Kloosterman, Richard Warmingham, Carl Stadler, and David Fielder rounding up the top 10. And then behind that is Bogatyov, Woodward, Mass, Jacob, Mueller, Glasgow, Croft, Rappriger, O'Connor, Hoffman, and Frost rounding out this 21 car field. And in fact, we've only got a couple more drivers to get onto the grid. So just Nicole Foggy once again holding us up. I'm not saying anything, but, you know, maybe it's all part of these mind games from him.
Lucky for him, I already had my dinner, so he's lucky.
Well, I'm not sure if Nicole's got to the grid, which is a very significant thing here. So wait to see what has happened there as Chris Jackson pulls away from the line.
Oh!
A little bit of contact in the background where the driver not getting away, but it's a good start for Jackson ahead of McClay and Tanaka. Everyone moves up a position due to Foggy not taking the start as Evdoka goes all the way round the outside. He's going to be able to get past Tanaka and McClay, I believe. He's up into 2nd position already. Great start for him. We've got a couple of drivers falling down the field. Stadler is one of them. Also Woodward having a poor start. Glasgow. And now round is Tanaka. Has he saved it? No, he's going to be off the circuit. He's going to lose lots of positions. A real opportunity at a good result for him, but he's fallen way down the order now. Kloosterman getting past Brandon, I believe. That's a great move there from Kloosterman, and a real upset there, because Brandon was so dominant in race 1. He wants to get past the Canadian. These two have fought for so many race victories, and Kloosterman might just be preventing Brandon from picking up another here as he tries to push him off the circuit. Brandon will have the inside for Aqua Minerale, almost losing the rear end of the car with the wheel spin in 3rd or 4th gear as Kloosterman tries to stay around the outside. There's no luck round there though, and almost losing the grip as well was David Fielder just behind.
Slow down,
but Jackson's still leading the way as Evdoka goes to the outside. Can he muzzle his way all the way round? not quite. And this is going to invite McClay into this battle
Oh,
as
Tony
well. As Jackson,
Klusterman! Oh no!
oh, and a big crash, potentially.
Oh!
Yes, we've got another one, 255. That was Anthony Woodward, his own teammate there. Terrible for Tony.
Terrible, terrible for Tony. Chris Jackson got a slowdown there. Hopefully he was able to serve it because usually, you know, in the first lap they are very, 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 very big. But it's all happening right now as that is, yeah, Johnny Brandon behind the two Texans Fitzai Motorsports boys, Evdoka and McClay, as they go almost 3 wide into the first corner.
Brandon will be looking for a position gain here, but here comes Evdoka. Down the inside and so on. Can he get it stopped? Yes, he can. Michael Evdoka takes the lead at Imola, and he's just trying to hold off his rival, Chris Jackson. Will Jackson go to the inside here? Evdoka should be okay by just fending off the inside against the Never Quit Racing driver. And there's, yeah, no chance for Jackson round there, and he's nearly lost the car. And here comes McClay. Could be a Fitztime Motorsport 1-2 here. McClay trying to go down the inside, but that's really good defense there from Jackson, and he's been able to give Evdoka quite a lead now.
Yes, and I will go to the replay of Tony's Tony Klusterman crash as soon as we can, but we cannot take our cameras away from this amazing battle for P1 as Tony Klusterman as yes, coming out of the pits. I think he had to tow because you know, there's the issue with iRacing live timing, not the time, not Pascal software, iRacing in general, that promotes a driver in first place when he tows for just 1 lap. So I think he is having some bigger issues, even though these guys have a fast repair. So
they don't seem to today. Oh, sorry, no limit. Apologies. They do.
So back to the front of the field. Michael Evdoka, Chris Jackson, McClay, Johnny Brandon, Tanaka. This is your top 5. And you see Klusterman will drop from the order as soon as Evdoka and the other guys start to go past the start-finish line.
What Jackson kind of wants to do here is hold these drivers up so he can get his teammate Victor Tanaka back involved in this battle, as they are almost going 3 wide once again. To the outside goes McClay. He's going to try to muscle his way around the outside. Brandon down the inside. Is he going to be able to make that move? There's almost contact between the two of them, but Johnny Brandon, a fantastic move down the inside. He caught McClay off guard, and as McClay went for the attack, in the end he may have been better off going for the defense.
Just Draco dropping after a mistake there. Let's very, 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 very quickly go back to that crash at the Variante Alta. Tony Klusterman. Go from the chopper. The grey car on the left side, you see him there. Contact, and then some more contact, and then more contact as well, and then you will see his teammate nowhere he could go there, smashing right into the front end of Tony Klusterman's car, which, by the way, he still scored as the leader and now dropping down to P19 as soon as I say that, so yeah.
Well, of course, when the drivers tow, they kind of skip that lap. They go straight to the end of that lap, unless it's the final lap, I guess. And yeah, it does mess around with the standings a bit. As, yeah, Jackson in second position, so now 2.5 seconds to the leader. And, well, Evdoka probably still isn't the favourite. Depends how soon it takes Brandon to get this move done on Jackson. Does Jackson get a good run? Pretty good. Quarter of a second between two of them as we see Mass a long way off the circuit. A long way off the circuit there. And he's lost about 4 positions due to it, as here comes Brandon. And I think Jackson just letting him have that one, realising that he's not in that fight. He'd quite like a podium out of this one with Chris, and he drops down into 3rd position. Now the chase for Johnny can really start.
And yes, now we will keep a close eye on the clock as we will have an idea of the pace. Of course, Evdoka clean track in front of him, just had the fastest lap of the race, 44.1. He's got a little bit of a gap, 2.7 seconds over Johnny Brandon there. So we will see if Johnny is able to stay and to close the gap with his opponent there. Alex Mas, just a quick word about him. Of course, he's still, I think he will be the first one to tell you that he has the pace, but he needs to improve on race management. Sadly, once again, he is going to waste, potentially a better finish, like in race 1 and like in many races in this series, because simply is some more often than not, no, more often than they would like, he is in the gravel, and that really slows your car down, I'm told.
Yes, absolutely. And McLean now putting on the pressure for Jackson. So Jackson was leading. McLean down the inside. It's an ambitious move there from George, and there's contact between the two of them now. And, well, he loses that position once again, backing that on into 4th place. Tanaka now gets involved in this one. He could potentially help out his teammate, and that's a good run there for Tanaka. Not a particularly good run for McLean. As they move on to lap 5 of 32. Long way to go in this one, but all this early shuffling around amongst the drivers could prove very important. As McLean will hold on, he's nearly lost the car. Nice slide through turn 1 there.
Yeah, Evdoka, fastest lap of the race, 43.9. Brandon, 44.0. Almost equal lap times as they go through the Villeneuve chicane. But what is important, I think, is the fact that, of course, Evdoka is still pushing super hard as McLean knocks on the rear bumper of Jackson. But they still remain Jackson 3rd, McLean 4th, and Tanaka in 5th.
Michael Mueller's having a great race, by the way, up in 7th position. He's up 8 positions from his start. Also, Edward Rappriger, after a bit of a troublesome race 1, he's up 9 positions into 9th. There's a nice battle actually going on amongst Rappriger, Stadler, Mass, Croft, and Bogotayev. As Mass makes up a position. He's got used to overtaking, let's say. I think he's pretty good at overtaking, but it's just that kind of consistency, like Marcus said, that he needs to improve on. To be fair, I think this is his first race of the season. And now just ahead of them is Stadler versus Rappriger, 2 new drivers for this season, and 2 drivers who have really impressed so far this season. Rappriger just about holding off his rival at the moment, Privateer versus the Atomic Motorsports driver. And they're catching up to Fielder a little bit just up the road as well. As Jackson, he's going to lose a position to McLean, I think, this time. And he might even let his teammate go whilst he's at it as well. Warming him, trying to close in on these drivers as well. So McLean now up into 3rd position. And Tanaka moves up into 4th.
Yeah, smart move by Jackson, and he let Tanaka by. NQR USA, NQR North America, 2 teams, but of course it's still under the NQR banner. As let's keep an eye on Tony Klusterman. He's in P19, and the guy in front of him is Michael Frost. He is, I think, 36 seconds ahead. So long way to go for Tony, and he cannot go to the end of the race with that pit stop he had earlier. He needs to stop again.
To be fair today, he was 4 seconds faster than Frost on that last lap, so he should be able to catch by about the midpoint of the race. How far could he get up? Well, he's 50 seconds off the top 10. I think that's a bit too much, unfortunately, for Tony. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe we'll be able to work a little bit of magic with the strategy. That's McLean under big pressure from Tanaka. Tanaka's been absolutely fantastic today. It's quite incredible how Tanaka's probably run the same set as Jackson and Kloosman, yet lapping so much faster, seemingly.
Big group of cars as they go through the Variante Alta Rappriger Mass that is in front of them. Stadler, Croft, Bogotayev, as they are all, with sporting a little bit of damage here and there, but nothing major. As Evdoka does a 43.8, 44.0 for Brandon. So Evdoka keeps gaining, and there's a car sideways. Oh, big crash. It's Frost, no, sorry, it's Croft, Bogotayev, and Graskov, who has, I think, got the worst out of that crash, with a blown engine, and the front of his car is completely destroyed.
Yeah, thankfully for him, he'll be able to take a brand new cut, but a big impact there, as McLean under pressure still, any way through, not quite. Almost Tanaka going into the back of him. Of course, Tanaka started on the on the second row of the grid, had a troublesome start though, going off the circuit. But since then he's been on fire like he was in race 1 as he goes down the inside of McClay, but the gap isn't there.
We have...
Can we go back to that
yeah,
crash, sorry, Marco?
absolutely. We have it in a second, if I... yeah, here we go. So Bogatairev, contact there. Oh, wow. Big hit for all the drivers involved. Gary Croft and Bogatairev had some contact. And of course, that spelled trouble for Sergei Glaskov, who was the, wrong place at the wrong time, apparently.
Yeah, we'll return to the circuit, I believe. Oh, actually, maybe Gary Croft hasn't, not quite sure. As side by side, or not quite side by side, Jackson having to defend from Warmingham now. So Jackson was leading at one point, he's threatening to go down into 6th place now, is defending against Warmingham this time. So head into turn 1, they've got a big gap behind them, about 5.5 seconds to Michael Mueller, as Jackson does get it stopped. And, well, it could be a little bit of a tricky customer for Warmingham here. They've now dropped 2.5 seconds off this battle. McClay still holding back Tanaka. And these guys now 5 seconds themselves off Johnny Brandon, who's just dropping back by a couple of tenths a lap to Michael Abdoka out in the lead.
After Tosa, they go up the hill towards Piratella, Tanaka and McClay, still one very close to the other, as they are now, on the left-hander. That brings us down to Acque Minerali, as Johnny Brandon has got some issues, some big issues. For the defending champion, he will get a big slowdown. He has a significant advantage over George McClay, but big mistake, considering that, of course, they have Michael Evdoka in the lead in this race, and you don't want to give him any kind of edge. The season 4 champion.
Yeah, so that's now opened up the gap to 5.5 seconds. Also, as I said about race 1, these drivers want to pick up no incidents for the entire race, because that means that they get a bonus 10 points for the championship, which can be very important. We've seen in the past 2 championships, the drivers who have picked up the fewest amount of penalty points, particularly when Michael Abdoka won in Season 4, managed to pick up barely any penalty points whatsoever, and picked up quite a few bonus points as well, and that proved crucial for his championship campaign. And so Brandon has, with that off, obviously ended that now, as Stadler moves up into 8th positions, going to get past Fielder. Also got Rappiger and Mass behind Mass. It's ever so quick up there. He's into the top 10 again. No, he's not, because they've made contact. Rappiger and Mass both seemingly spinning round. And terrible for those two. They are going to be able to carry on their way though.
As we arrive at the Villeneuve chicane, and an interesting line from David Fielder there. He loses a bit of time. Let's go back to the front for one bit. As we see McClay pulling away ever so slightly from Tanaka, as Alex Mas is dropping a bit. Let's see what happened here. Maybe just a false, but yes, the Tosa corner is one of those corners that the live timing software really doesn't like, just like the hairpin in Montreal, for example, or some corners, the La Source hairpin at Spa, when the cars go so slowly that the live timing thinks that maybe that guy has got an issue. But still, Mass on Raprager.
Don't know if anyone has seen the new proposed Vietnam circuit, but that's got a very similar hairpin. And the Miami circuit as well, actually, where it's literally just a wall, and you've got to drive around that wall, and painfully slow after an incredibly long straight. Seems to be the way that circuits are going, almost. As kind of taking the Formula E approaches.
Oh.
McClay under pressure again. That would have been very ambitious there from Tanaka. these two. You can see a little bit of damage, particularly for McClay, maybe a little bit for Tanaka as well. Great to see these two back into the championship. Remember, they used to be quite regulars, I think, in this series, but recently have started to miss a few more rounds. But they are certainly providing lots of entertainment here, despite not being bought the lead for the final spots on the podium. And they got good pace, haven't they? You know, considering that McClay is having to defend occasionally, on that last lap he was matching Evdoka and Brandon.
Yeah, I don't know what happened in this lap because it seemed like they came out of the first chicane, or maybe it was the second, and you know Tanaka. Oh, Jackson has gone a bit wide, I reckon, and is about to get passed by Birmingham.
Ooh.
The car doesn't seem to be very straight there. I just hope it's because he had, you know, overcooked his tires trying to save it. As Birmingham throws it into the Variante Alta and completes the pass, but Jackson will have a good run. I say so. McClay seemed to have a bit of a poor exit speed from the chicane there, and that's why I think Tanaka was able to attack him as Jackson gets his position back. Can he stop the car? Many locked front left tires in this Rivazza 1 corner, but apparently everything is okay, as Alex Mas and Raprager are still fighting it out.
Taking a few chunks out of each other so far. Mas trying to get the cut back, but no, there's a car in the way. Gets stopped in between corners there, I guess. And Mas will now get into the section. 2 tenths behind. These two make contact at this next corner on the last lap. O'Connor gets involved in this one. Jaycott's not too far behind either, as these guys were right with Fielder just a couple of laps ago. But they're now 2.5 seconds behind, and Mas just cannot get the overspeed, maybe suffering a little bit more with the damage. And, well, all these incidents have really set his day back considerably. Tanaka once again getting close to this first part of the lap on that this first sector, faster than Brandon and McClay. But pretty much it's the sector where you can't overtake on. As Birmingham, oh, contact almost there. And having to just avoid Chris Jackson.
Yeah, there's a lapped car. I think that is Andrew Hoffman. Yes, he is. So he's 1 lap down. George McClay defending very nicely, and now I think drivers will need to get, you know, start to think about the strategy. Of course, when they take their pit stop. It's not just a matter of how much fuel you put in, but a matter of also, do I stop now in order to avoid potential traffic issues, or if I'm stuck in traffic, let's pit for a bit earlier, and then maybe come out on a clean track. So there are many things that these guys can do on a track where it's tough to pass. Alex Mas and Raprager once again at Rivazza. As Michael Evdoka is slowing down, he had an off there, and he lost around 3 seconds, if I'm not mistaken. I think he made a mistake coming into the Tamburello.
Yeah, must have picked up a slowdown, went straight across. He seems okay here. Oh, wow, no, he's actually lost the rear of the car and did pretty well. Went for the safe way out, decided to kind of desperately turn out of it. And, well, he looked well on course. That had fantastic pace, did Evdoka. Was about 5.5 seconds out in the lead. Now back down to only 3 seconds. Let's put this race win in a bit of jeopardy for him. And Brandon also on that last lap did lap 4 tenths of a second faster. Evdoka in that last race seemed to drop off as the race went on. Also, he just picked up a 1x, so he won't be able to get the bonus points. So generally, not a very good corner for Michael Evdoka. A lot of repercussions. And, well, he's lost 2 seconds due to that mistake. But as long as he can stay ahead in the pit stop sequence, he should be the favourite for this race as we are about to head on to lap 13. Of course, Marco, you were saying about the traffic, but of course the undercut is going to be such a prominent figure in this race, because the fresh tyres are going to give you a massive advantage, you'd expect.
Yes, these cars, like I said, are so hard on the tires. So the moment you can get 2 seconds there from Evdoka to Brandon in this lap. The moment you get fresh rubber on, you are significantly faster, and you know, the earlier you pit, the more you get an advantage, especially at this point, you know, because the guys at the top really have very, very worn out tires. So I'd say that we see some drivers try and go for it as soon as possible. I think, well, we will be halfway through in the next 3 laps, and then I think we will see. I mean, the most they can go, if I remember correctly, from Tony's briefing, is 21 laps. So they have this window, which I think is already open, when they can stop and, you know, go to the finish. They haven't stopped already because if you pit too early, the tire difference is not significant, and you basically waste a possible strategy.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, of course, depending on your situation, you're going to have to take different tactics here. As warming closing in on Jackson once again. I'm sorry to appease her, and I am horrendously mean to Richard, but I do always say how he's not necessarily the bravest with the overtakes, which does accumulate him a lot of points, because the defending club champion.
Oh,
As
issues!
Tanaka and McClay wide through the second part of Vivatsa. He's going to be able to respond here down this straight, but Tanaka moves up into the podium positions for now, as McClay will get right into the slipstream. Surely Tanaka, an experienced driver, will just defend the inside, and yes, that's what he does. McClay has to go to the outside, and he can't find the inside for the chicane, and just stays behind still.
Looking at the event viewer, I don't think there was an issue there for McClay, but one of the trademark, as Birmingham gets past Jackson. No, he doesn't, because he stops mid-corner. That was a very aggressive line. So maybe one of the trademark Victor Tanaka overtakes. Let's see what happened there.
No, it's a mistake then from McClay.
Oh, yeah.
Tried to do everything about holding off that position, but well, that's the type of mistakes we just haven't seen for this entire entire evening, I'd say. Just the drivers have been absolutely exceptional out there, and just when a mistake is made, it can really cost you. As Tanaka, if anything, maybe going across the inside of the course, and
Yeah.
there you go, picking up a slowdown and dropping back.
So McClay gets his position back. Meanwhile, Birmingham is also slowing down for a course-cutting penalty, and this gives Chris Jackson a way out of this battle in the meantime as well. Michael Evdoka 44.1, Brandon 44.4, so Evdoka back on his quicker pace, faster than Brandon, even though on this lap Brandon is a bit quicker than Evdoka. So yeah, never mind that. I think we will have a clearer picture in a bit, because as you were saying, Sam, looks like Evdoka faded a bit into the final part of race 1. So of course now cooler temperature, because it's, I think, late afternoon. So oh, we have an issue there for Chas Draycott.
Disappointing for Chaz, because he was keeping it really clean. Also, David Fielder into the pits. I think that's scheduled, and so he'll be the first driver in, as Draycott was a bit wide there, and just picked up a slowdown, I believe. Still running in 12th place, though, is Chaz, due to David's pit stop. Not sure who David was fighting with, actually, before that. I think he was just ahead of Stadler and Mass, and maybe close to Mueller as well.
That is Raprager, I think, in front of him. As he goes into the pit.
So he was just behind Stadler and Mass and Rapiger then. So trying the undercut. Good on Fielder there. .22 seconds for him.
Oh,
That's
Tony Klusterman with a problem. So he's up to P13. Yeah, we'll have to stop again. But I think he had an issue.
Yeah, just a small off this. Lost him about 1.5 seconds. So, who will blink first in this one? McClay or Tanaka? Of course, if these guys pit, they could come out in some traffic. And so, and of course, if that happened, then they'd certainly fall behind one another because these two have got a big pace advantage over the likes of O'Connor and Jacob, who they would come out around. 10 seconds now off the second position, Johnny Brandon. Kind of weird in this race, actually. Everyone has made their kind of one small mistake. Evdoka with that small off at turn 1, Brandon with his off at Aqua Minerale, and then McClay with his mistake at Rivatsa, and then Tanaka with his corner cutting at Aqua Minerale. Of course, all in the first half of the race. It'll be a question of who makes those mistakes in the second half of the race, because it's looking very even at the moment.
Yes, exactly. As also we still have to investigate, or better, we are investigating. We still have found no answer for Nicole Foggy not gridding for race 2. I'm suspecting a connection issue or hardware failure because it was surely looking good for race 2 as well, and we miss him dearly in this second race of the day. As Tanaka once again has a good exit there, but no way through in the Variante Alta. Bouncing guard on the curves. Will he get a good run out of it? Seems like McClay has a better exit out of the Variante Alta and into Rivazza 1.
So this is now the halfway point in the race, and so one stop, you don't have to be a genius at maths to realise. If you pit now, you do 16 laps on your first set of tyres and 16 laps on your second, and that is the logic that Victor Tanaka is taking. Oh, he's very deep on the brakes there, Marco. Do you think that might be a speeding penalty?
We will see. It looks borderline. 25 seconds more or less is an average pit stop. So we'll keep a close eye on the clock on the bottom to see how long will Tanaka spend on the jacks in his pit box. Oh, that was Raprager with a very risky entrance in the pits. Did he hit the barrier?
Or even if he did, he'll be able to take the faster pair, of course. But, oh, wow. Well, he may have hit the barrier, not being able to get into the pits there, Edwards. And every second counts for him because he was in a very tight battle beforehand. Here comes Tanaka, had a 24-second pit stop. And you know what? He's going to be out into a very nice pocket of airs. Klusman now comes into the pits. That's how far behind Tony is of the lead. And, well, he'll try to be, going the fastest strategy from the start to the finish as Tanaka. 24 seconds there. Not a bad pit stop. It's all up to McClay now to see how fast his in-lap in is.
Yes. So yeah, all good for Tanaka there. A very, very, very close call with the speeding penalty entering the pits. And now, if Doka goes by, let's see if Brandon goes for the undercut. No, he doesn't. Will McClay pit, knowing that his direct rival Tanaka entered the pits? No, he doesn't. So next two guys coming will be Jackson and Wormingham. And Jackson is in, so will Wormingham pit? No. As Klusterman comes out of the pits, he is one lap down. I think he will get his lap back when Evdoka, Brandon and McClay pit in just a few laps.
Mass is in. So where has everyone filed back out into? So Stadler still ahead of Fielder. But Fielder's got ahead of Rapriga. Rapriga had a slightly longer pit stop there, a couple of seconds longer. And so not too much has changed so far. Mass is going to be right in amongst Stadler, Fielder and Rapriga, I imagine.
Johnny Brandon with some issues. Losing time, he went a bit wide there. A couple of times at Acque Minerali. very
desperately trying
yeah.
not to pick
Yeah.
up the slowdown, wasn't it?
Exactly, yeah, he was very smart to get on the brakes there. I think he was able to avoid the slowdown. Will he go for the pits after braking very hard in Acqua Minerali? Yes, he does. And so he's in. Let's put our graphics on screen and we will see how many drivers have pitted, and basically everyone has pitted besides Evdoka, McLeay, Wormingham, Müller, O'Connor and Draycott.
So Brandon will be pretty much by himself once again. I doubt doubt Tanaka's been able to catch up to him too much. Might be within about 7 seconds now, but not close enough to make a rival. So Fielder and Rapigo, he's just had a very poor lap as Rapigo. Was that because he came into the pits? I believe that was because he came into the pits. So that was why he had that slightly slower lap, Edwards. But he has got fresher tyres now than his rival. I guess that early pit stop, or slightly earlier pit stop for Johnny Brandon is probably good news for Michael Evdoka, because Michael now knows he'll be on fresher tyres to the end of the race.
Exactly, so we'll see if he responds immediately or if he waits a bit, as Brandon has got Tanaka behind him, Draycott in front of me, who still has to pit, and that's the lapped car, the red and black car of Andrew Hoffman, who moves away immediately.
Yeah, nice job there from Hoffman. Doesn't want to make an impact in this race, as we wait to see if Michael Evdoka, already a race winner this season at SuperCar, will he be able to get another race win? And this would probably be a no-brainer to come to the pits, because he's got a little bit of traffic just ahead of him with Rapiga and Co. And Evdoka this time seemingly with a very good pit entry, didn't waste any time, but seemed to be quite comfortable on the brakes. And Johnny Brandon actually had quite a long pit stop, 27 seconds. Evdoka might, if he can get about a 24-second pit stop, it might open up that gap back up to about 5 seconds.
Evdoka and McLeay are in, Wormingham is in, Müller, O'Connor and Draycott are the three guys still waiting for their pit stop. Let's see if they will join the pit party, as Müller comes in, O'Connor is at Rivazza 2, and he will stay out, so only Draycott. They're waiting for Draycott to come in, and he
Evdoka's
doesn't.
got a really long pit stop, so
Yes.
33 seconds. And I think this might be a change for the lead. Johnny Brandon is approaching the pit exit here, and Johnny Brandon is going to take the lead here at Imola for race 2 of the evening. Michael Evdoka with a speeding penalty, seemingly. I clearly jinxed it, as he's dropped down into 4th position as it stands, and it looks so comfortable on the brakes for him, but clearly it wasn't. He's gone in too hot.
Weird.
Seemed to be okay, though.
Yeah. We will know in due course, as Chas Draycott now and Lane O'Connor are respectively in 2nd and 3rd position. Johnny Brandon is your new leader, and he has got 5 seconds over Michael Evdoka, who had a very, very, very long stop, the longest together with his teammate George McLeay, 33.5 for George McLeay. So do these guys know something that the others don't know, or have they both made the same mistake based on their, common wrong strategy?
Yeah, maybe they're just taking too much fuel, and they pitted on the same lap, so they probably didn't realise that maybe it was the it was too much. See, big problems for those two, because they are teammates. Does mean that McLeay's down into 8th position. He's actually fallen behind Wormingham, because Wormingham had a 13-second shorter pit stop, as here comes Brandon down the inside of Draycott. It's a deep move there from Johnny Brandon to get past the CQR driver, but he has done so. And, well, he couldn't lose any more time as Draycott drops it himself into the wall, goes Chaz. And, well, it was almost a perfect race from him up to that point. And it's cost him crucial seconds. Now he needs to try to get into the pit lane.
Yeah, never an easy thing to do when you are slow on the left side, and with Draycott and O'Connor in, we can remove the pit graphics, the pit stop graphic, because everyone has been in for their stop, and we can have a clearer picture of the race with Brandon leading Evdoka, then Tanaka in third, Jackson, Wormingham, McClay. This is your top 6 at the moment. O'Connor coming out of the pits, but I think Thedler will get by him easily. And so he does.
So we'll go through the order as it stands then. So Brandon leading the way. That's actually, that was getting quite interesting actually with O'Connor and Fielder and Mueller as well. It's really close amongst those drivers because O'Connor, so that's Fielder going across the circuit. He was the first driver into the pits and it hasn't really worked out for him just because of that one mistake. Mueller moves ahead of him. Mueller must have had quite a poor pit stop. He did. He lost about 8 seconds in the pits compared to his rivals. So Connor now up into 9th, Rappiger in 8th, and Stadler all the way up into 7th.
Yes, so Brandon is in the lead, like you were saying. Evdoka and Tanaka second and third. As I think we are on lap 22 starting right now, so 11 laps to go. And basically, Sam, from now on is just a sprint to the finish. As Brandon, fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, if Evdoka can win it from here, it would be quite some performance. There's only half a tenth between the two of them. They've been so even today, and Evdoka will be absolutely kicking him, so I'm sure he will learn from this. But these two with Costa were rivals in the Season 4 Championship, Evdoka winning out that time. It's great to see this rivalry being ignited once again. But it looks as though it's going to be Johnny Brandon with the upper hand. And of course, Evdoka with plans to maybe change for the tights, as we see off the circuit goes Lane O'Connor. And he loses that position back to Michael Mueller. As Mueller now about 3 seconds behind Rappiger. Could he even catch up to that one? He seems to be pretty quick at the moment. As Wormingham and McClay. McClay makes that move now. So McClay, after his awful pit stop, Wormingham with the slowdown. And George McClay goes straight past that. Nicely done for him. Pretty incredible that Jackson is still in 4th position. That'll be the next one for McClay. Jackson has been struggling a little bit out there, but it just shows the how slow McClay's pit stop was. Also the fact that, of course, he pitted a couple of laps later, left him vulnerable to the undercut. And yeah, Jackson probably is going to be caught by McClay due to those fresher tyres for the Pitstone Motorsport driver. Also, on this lap between the top two, Brandon losing 0.6 of a second to Michael Evdoka, 0.7 of a second even. So Evdoka, purple lap time there for Evdoka, fastest one of the race, I think fastest of the day. And well, that's just going to be rubbing salt into the wounds because he undoubtedly had the pace to hold on to the lead. But it looks as though he's going to lose it just due to a strategic error. Also,
Yes,
got
yep.
Klisterman out there, sorry, Marco, but also got Klisterman in 14th position. I said earlier on how he was 50 seconds off the top 10. He might just get a top 10. He's now only 9 seconds off the top 8 and is considerably faster, some 3 seconds a lap faster. He's on course to maybe catch these guys by the end of the race, especially if they're fighting as hard as this.
Exactly, as they go into the first corner, it's Mas and Fielder as they brake hard for the Tamburello, and Mas is on 2 wheels there, gets a little bit of a shot from Fielder, and Bokatairev joins the party as well as they go now towards the Villeneuve chicane. Fielder doesn't bite, and now Bokatairev might be fancying his chances at a move for P12. Nothing happening now, as McLay is trying to pull away from Birmingham, who, by the way, made a mistake there at the first chicane when McLay went by. So, like you said, in this second race, many more mistakes, as Evdoka is 0.5 of a second quicker than Johnny Brandon in this lap.
Yeah, I wonder if Brandon's just really cooling it down now. Of course, not too much of a motivation with the incidents. If you get 10 incidents in this championship, you also get 10 penalty points. But I doubt he's anywhere near that. We've seen him have 2 off so far, Brandon, so he's probably on 2 or 3 incidents. And so you shouldn't have to conserve it too much, but I think probably just conserving those tyres and conserving himself, because he doesn't want to make a mistake to the end of the race. 4 seconds between the two of them. We've got 9 laps to go. Well, if Evdoka keeps on going like this, he might just make it, but I don't know about you, Mark. I just feel as though Johnny's got that 1 extra gear, whereas Michael right now is in about 9th gear.
Yes, especially, you know, after a mistake like that. I mean, if Doka was absolutely dominating the race and then that mistake was really costly at the pit stop, that super long pit stop that... oh, Era Sadler has got a problem, or is it the same Tosa hairpin false positive? Yeah, nothing happening there. As Tony Klusterman, look at him, about to get in a battle with Bogatayrev and Fielder.
Well, this will be like taking candy from a baby, I imagine, for Tony.
Evdoka pushing SuperCar 43.7, fastest lap of the race once again.
Another half a second taken out of the race leaders. Policeman is way off the circuit. Bogatayrev, well, it was an ambitious move from the first place from Tony. Like I said, like taking candy from a baby, and maybe a little bit over-aggressive. Annoyed Nikolai slightly. And, well, Nikolai there, I think, could have probably avoided that contact. I don't know why he was, well, he was stuck a little bit on the outside, to be fair, wasn't he? It was just a racing incident, and, well, I don't know, maybe Nikolai will let back past Klusman when Klusman catches back up.
They are all together at the Rivazza corner, side by side. Tony gets the position back. Nice move there.
I think I am going to have to be off now, Marco, because on the other side of Apex Racing TV, we are going to be covering the Sebring 90 minutes special events. And that event should be very good fun. So, of course, after this race ends, because it's looking like it's going to be a very good climax to this race, of course, do tune into that. And, Marco, I'll leave the reins to you, and hopefully it'll be a good conclusion, a good final 8 laps to this race.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much, Sam. Already we have some argy-bargy between Jackson, Birmingham and McLay, and Jackson now to P4 after this hard move into the Variante Alta, as we are getting closer and closer to the start of the Sebring 90 minutes. Don't forget about that. It will start immediately after the end of this one. We are going to have the same classes as in the upcoming Sebring 12 hours. It's going to be a 90-minute race with 4 times the time acceleration, day and night transition, to get ourselves ready for next week's 12-hour extravaganza from Florida. But let's stay in Italy for a bit, as Jackson gets that curve super hard onto wheels once again. Birmingham is between him and McLay is going for a move into Villeneuve. Can he stop the car? He does, but Birmingham is able to keep the position. And nothing to do for McLay there, because I think he has more pace than Birmingham, but this track is so tough to make your move, and even when you have, I mean, there's not big differential between Birmingham and McLay, but McLay has been faster all day long, I'd say, and he's not able to make this pass. Also on this lap I saw on the timing screen a little bit of a mistake from Evdoka. We will see when they go back to the start finish line how much this has cost Michael Evdoka, as 44.4 for Brandon and Evdoka 45.0, so a big loss of half a second for the chasing Season 4 champion. He's chasing the Season 5 champion. As lap 27 starts, Tony Klusterman is going... Oh, O'Connor in the gravel at Rivazza, just as Tony Klusterman and his friends are coming. Fielder Bogatairev hard braking into Rivazza, and Klusterman is able to get one more position, now up to P12. Back to the front, Wormingham in the middle of this sandwich, the bread being Chris Jackson and George McClay, as Michael Frost once again having some issues there and getting back on the track. I see on the timing monitor as we are getting closer and closer to the end of the Fielder, oh no, Fielder and Bogatairev, they were fighting with Tony Klusterman. They are both off at the Tamburello. Let's get a replay of that. Bogatairev is on the right, Fielder is on the left. Oh, Bogatairev lost it under braking, and poor David Fielder was the innocent bystander in this crash, as they are still together. Raprager now defending from Alex Mas. These two have fought all day long, basically, as they get into the Variante Alta in the, dare I say, beautiful Italian sunset over Imola. Some clouds in there, but I think they just add to the magic of this time of day. Out braking into Rivazza. Mas is all sorts of sideways. He is able to keep the car steady, and now he might have a decent run on the start-finish line, as Müller is off and missing his hood. But back to this battle, Raprager and Mas. We will go back to the crash very soon, as Tanaka also is having some issues. Here he comes. He was going down to Acque Minerali, and he went a bit wide. Let's see what happened to Michael Müller as well. Under pressure from Tony Klusterman. Oh, some unfortunate contact there, and that's poor Michael Müller in the wall. Back to the front. Jackson, Wormingham, McClay. This is the battle for P4. Seems like Wormingham has a decent run over Jackson, as they go once again for the 29th time into the first chicane at the Tamburello. Hard braking as always. All sorts of sideways is McClay. He's able to hold the car. And once again, as Wormingham tries to pass Jackson, he also has to defend from the Texans Fitstime Motorsport driver. David Fielder and Bokatairev still having some issues, but let's keep our cameras on this great battle, as in the front it's 2.7 seconds between Brandon and Evdoka, with Brandon having a poor lap, 44.7, Evdoka 44.0, as Dracot, Glasgow into the first chicane. Oh no! Fielder, Dracot, Glasgow, they are all off in the first corner. As they are getting back on the track now. Big issues. Once again the blimp comes to our help. And we can see... Oh, same crash as before. One car loses the car. One driver loses the car under braking. It's another driver, and this time we had also a third victim. As Jackson, Wormingham, and McClay have to be careful to not do the same, as they are. You can see by the big lockups they are pushing so hard. As look at that, all together the cars light up their headlights. As we are getting into nighttime, and as you know, nighttime is the right time, especially for a V8 supercar race. Wormingham on the inside, tries to get past Jackson. Nothing to do there, as I think Evdoka has made a little bit of a mistake. Brandon getting 1 second over his rival in just a matter of corners. Raprager and Mas. Raprager gets his position back. Tanaka, a bit wide of the Acque Minerali, nothing major there, as we see once again Jackson and McClay with Wormingham, who has been passed. Oh, of course he has been passed. He had a mistake here, and yeah, good run from McClay getting the position. But back live, where Chris Jackson is defending now from the Texan System Motorsports driver. Hard braking into a tamburello. They are absolutely on the limit. This is what we love. This is why we love this championship. As once again Tanaka going on an alternative line, but it seems to be working for him because he is basically with 1.5 foot on the podium. As Alex Mas once again with Raprager. These two really cannot stop fighting with each other. They are putting on a show in the midfield. This is the battle for P8. But still, Mas now hasn't been able to respond to Raprager as Chris Jackson. Chris Jackson is off, trying to defend from McClay at Acque Minerali. And this promotes both McClay and Wormingham up 1 position. As Alex Mas is off at the Tosa hairpin. It's all happening in the final lap of the race. Johnny Brandon, white flag in the air. He's got 4.3 seconds over Michael Evdoka. Once again, the Season 5 defending champion is in first. The Season 4 champion is in second. Victor Tanaka is in third place. McClay in fourth. And Wormingham is in fifth. McClay might have to defend from Wormingham. We will see. Let's get quickly the 2 replays out of the way. This is Chris Jackson. He was sideways coming into Acque Minerali, and then midway through he lost the car. And then Alex Mas trying to get past Raprager. He lost completely the car under braking, and then he almost collected Raprager there. And in the end, he has to settle for P9. But Johnny Brandon, what a fantastic, fantastic day for him. Pole position, victory in race 1, and in race 2, thanks to, in part, to a mistake from Evdoka, he brings home the race victory in race 2. And that was a masterful performance from the XVR sim racing driver, a performance worthy of a champion, as Michael Evdoka also put on a fantastic show. Nice to have him back. Tanaka will finish P3, George McClay and Richard Wormingham are fighting it out for P4, but I think that this will go in the bag for the Fitztime Motorsports driver with the XVR green racer Wormingham. He has to settle for P5. Chris Jackson and Alan Stedler are 6th and 7th. We have a battle with, once again Alex Mas and Edward Raprager. Despite the spin, Mas has still a fighting chance. Will he throw the car at Rivazza? He won't, but he has a nice exit. Raprager is not having the cleanest of runs through the two Rivazza corners, but he will be able to bring home P8 with Mas having to settle for P9. We're also waiting for Tony Klusterman, P11 for him. Then Bogatyrov and Glatskov. Also Gary Croft is coming towards the start-finish line, but I think he is one lap down. Still good P17 for him, fighting some adversity throughout the race, and that is everyone sorted for this second race of the day, as the sun is setting over the beautiful town of Imola. But as we wait for our lasagna or post-race tortellini, whichever you prefer, there's fantastic stuff to eat in this place. Let's go with the official, unofficial race results for race 2. And your winner for XVR Sim Racing is Johnny Brandon. Michael Evdoka finishes in 2nd and Victor Tanaka is in 3rd. George McClay and Richard Wormingham and Chris Jackson, they fought really hard, 4th, 5th and 6th. Aaron Stedler is in 7th. Edward Raprager finally is able to finish race in P8 after a great battle with Alex Mas. Lane O'Connor in 10th. Tony Klusterman, big issues for him, P11. Nikolai Bogatyrov is in 12th and Sergei Glaskov in 13th. Then Chas Dracot in 14th, David Fielder and Michael Mueller, Gary Croft, Michael Frost. These two guys were competing for the club championship as well. Many drivers of the club championship missing, especially Clyde Whiting, who is lucky him in the USA, and he has been to the Daytona 500 last week. Andrew Hoffman and then Anthony Woodward is the only retiree, and the big mystery, of course, Nicole Foggy, 2nd in race 1, didn't start in race 2, and he finishes last in 21st position. As we have a long list of drivers to interview, we will begin with Johnny Brandon, who has won race 1 and race 2. Hello Johnny, how you doing, man?
Evening, Marco. Good, thanks. Even better now.
Yes, absolutely. Congratulations on getting 2 victories today, pole position. And I have to say that in race 1, you were absolutely brilliant. You basically held on, despite being under pressure from the first corner, basically. Then in race 2, seemed like, Michael was having a bit better pace, but then both he and his teammate at the same pit stop, 35 seconds. So I think clearly something wrong with the strategy, but you were able to get the lead regardless, and then you didn't look back from there. So how has your night been?
Yeah, well, you pretty much summed it up there. First race was hard work with Foggy. Got to give him a shout. He's unlucky for race 2. It wouldn't let him load into the session, and his computer had to restart. And then he restarted it, and then his Oculus Rift didn't work, and he missed the start of the race. So really unlucky for him there. Yeah, race 2 just took it easy really at the start. Couldn't catch Michael Evdoka, absolutely flying tonight, and just decided to try and save a bit of fuel and get around. So I was fuel saving for most of the race. I was actually a bit worried that I wasn't going to make it to the end, but I think he got a slowdown or something. He was catching me hand over fist, and then he dropped back a bit, so it sort of released a bit of the pressure, and I was able to save it and get to the end. So it's great fun.
So it was, I think, the first time in a while that the series came to Italy, and I think the first time in a while, or maybe the first time ever that series came to Imola. How is your, how do you like the track? You don't like the track?
I love the track. I mean, there's very few tracks I dislike, if I'm being honest. I like them all. Foggy and myself haven't done a lot of practice here this week compared to normal because we're doing another V8 Championship, the Scops race on Sunday morning, which is at Montreal. So we've been practicing that all week and not done anywhere near the normal amount of practice. So it was a little bit unknown how the car was going to go for a stint and etc. etc. But great circuit and loved it. To come out with 2 wins, chuffed to bits.
And of course, in a couple of weeks' time, we will be racing in, drumroll please, we will be at the Nürburgring in the, with the quick chicane for the GT configuration, basically. Another track that I'd say we can compare to this one. I think. Will you think passing still will passing still be an issue like we saw today, where to make a move you really had to go for it? Of course, at the Nürburgring you had that very weird first corner where you can see a lot of dive bombs, but apart from that, I don't think there are many other passing opportunities around there as well.
Yeah, I mean it's such a big heavy car. It's hard to create something. So it's so hard on the brakes anyway. And when you're already braking on the limit, to try and then brake a bit later to get past somebody is a nightmare. So I don't know what Nürburgring will be like, but look forward to it. I'm sure it'll be great, and yeah, should give some good race.
Thank you very much, Johnny. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
Just yourself there, doing a good job on the broadcast, and the rest of your team, and everyone that organises the league. All my teammates, Immortal, and give a shout out to Clyde Whiting, who's having a tough time at the moment. He's in Florida somewhere,
Yeah,
laying on the
yeah,
beach, I think.
yeah.
Hi, Clyde.
I'm a bit jealous. I saw his Facebook feed in these past few days, and yeah, that he was at that small race, the Daytona 500, I think it's called.
Yeah, he's the series
Unlucky.
organizer.
Yeah,
Personally, I think he's got
exactly.
his priorities all wrong, Marco.
Yeah,
Do it in the off season.
absolutely, exactly. That's what me and Sam said in during race one. So I absolutely agree with you.
Anyway, thanks very much, Marco.
Have a
Good
good
night,
night,
mate.
and congratulations once again, Johnny.
Cheers, man.
And that was Johnny Brandon, race one and race two winner. Now let's bring home Michael Evdoka, who was third in race one and second in race two. First of all, hello, Michael, and yeah, let's go ahead with how your evening has gone.
Yeah, hello Marco. Fantastic broadcast. I'm going to watch it back in a bit. I'm sure it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it is. That's for you and the viewers to judge. But hopefully, me and Sam did a great job. Like I was saying, first race you had the pace of the top two guys, then you dropped back a bit, and then in race two you were leading. But I noticed that both you and your teammate had identical pit stop times, and they were like 3 or 4, maybe 5 seconds longer pit stops than the rest of the field.
Yeah, to be honest, I had a bit of a problem with a software that auto does my fuel, and it didn't untick my fuel. So I took a full tank. So did my teammate, because I said we must need a full tank because it hasn't unticked. But I had about 8 or 10 gallons too much at the end. So it is what it is. I had the pace today. First race, I merely backed off because I had the space behind me. You know, I wasn't going to get past Foggy or Brandon. We were all right on the limit. So I just backed off a little bit. You know, brung home P3, and then the second race, that silly error on the fuel really just took away P1 away from me.
So it has been very, very nice to have you back. Did the season off you took in season 5 help you to maybe find once again the love for this car in season 6 after winning season 4?
Well, I did. I went away for a little bit, tried a few other cars, and in a funny old way, the V8, in my opinion, is the best racing on iRacing. And you can quote me on that as well. That's my opinion. It's the best racing out there. It's side by side, door banging to a certain extent. But in my opinion, it's the best out there, and I missed it so much. I had to get back into the car.
Thank you very much, Michael, and once again, congratulations for the double podium. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
Just Fitzsty, they've been fantastic to me, helping me out with all the other cars and stuff. Just those guys, and obviously the new sponsors, they've obviously jumped on board as well. TechSense, I can't even say it, but yeah. But just thank you for those guys for all the support and help they give me.
Thank you very much, Michael, and congratulations once again on the double podium.
Cheers, fantastic work, guys.
And last but not least, it's the brand new CQR driver, Chaz, and colleague, esteemed colleague, I might add, Chaz Dracot. Hello, Chaz.
Hi, Marco. How are we doing? You all right?
Doing fine, doing fine. Sam has left me alone, sadly, so he took a plane to Florida for the Seaway in 90 minutes, so he left me all alone. But I'm close to home in Imola, so relatively close. It's like 5-hour drive, something like that. But yeah, I mean, we talked between race 1 and race 2, and you said it was a handful in that race. Doubling the distance, I don't think did you any favor on that.
No, definitely not. It's not the widest of tracks, and the Holden isn't the most tame of cars, but when you chuck in like some pretty hefty sausage curbs and things around this track, it's very difficult to string a lap together and not get a slowdown. Actually, I found slowdowns quite an issue tonight, but there was some good racing out there. It was nice and close, but there weren't as many opportunities as you'd like. A lot of the time, you were just sort of slowing it down as hard as you can to not hit the person in front. It was it was tough doubling the distance, like you say.
Yeah, we noticed that in the broadcast booth during the race that maybe the guy behind had more pace, but really there were not many, big passing opportunities. And I know that in this series the drivers are very respectful. In other series you might have seen, drivers saying, "Okay, what the hell? I'm sending it, trying to make the move," but it was very respectful. We had some issues towards the end of race 2, but apart from that, I mean, yeah, no one took excessive risks, so that is why I think there were not many overtakes. But in 2 weeks, we will be at the Nürburgring in a GP layout. So, what are your the GT layout? What are your thoughts about the track? Still a double header with the sprint and the feature race. How do you like the Nürburgring Grand Prix Strecke?
Not a massive fan of the circuit itself. I don't like the first sector. It's just, I think when they did that to sort of lengthen the track a bit, it's just not a nice bit of circuit. That first corner's horrible.
Yeah,
But
I agree with you.
I've driven the V8 there before. I jumped in and just in official practice a while ago, just when before I went into this series actually, just try and get used to the car. And I thought, well, I'll go on a track I don't like, and then luckily it was at Nürburgring anyway. And I've done a lot of laps there, so I might have a bit of pace. I'm not sure. Obviously, being with CQR has helped me out a lot. I've got setups and things from them, and I mean, Josh Thompson was giving me a lot of pointers tonight. So thanks very much to him. He jumped in the session just to sort of guide me round a bit. It did help, but I mean, it's very tough to get pace out of this car. It's a very difficult car to drive.
Yeah.
And I mean, Tony Klusterman, Johnny Brandon, Michael Avdoka, and them lot, they make it look easy. I mean, they really, really do. I mean, Johnny came past me in both races, and it was like he had an extra gear or something. It was just mental. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it though. I'm always looking forward to racing this car. It's a great laugh to drive when you get used to it. But yeah, you just need to put the seat time in with it a lot more than any other car I've found.
Yeah, I mean, it's really what I think the car in a racing where the more you drive it, the more you get better, and even it takes quite some time. So, I mean, season is very very young, and like I said, next time we go to the Nürburgring Grand Prix, and I hope that you will be there with us, Chaz.
Nice one, mate. Cheers for the broadcast tonight.
Yeah, before we let you go, of course, you thank Josh Thompson, you thank the team, but still, anyone you'd like to thank.
Just everyone that's supported my Chaslington project since it started, really. Things are going really well at the moment with a lot of like real world offers and sort of sponsorships and partnerships and stuff that are going on. Massive shout to Ben Palmer as well for giving me the opportunity to work with him this year. It's going to be a really exciting year. But yeah, pretty much it really, and obviously for you and to Sam when he was around before he got on a plane to for the broadcast, mate.
A very, very fast play indeed. Thank you very much, Chaz, and we will catch you in the next round.
Cheers, mate. Have a good night.
And that was Chaz Dracot, and of course, that was also the final driver that we interviewed today as we are getting ready to say goodnight to you. But before we do that, let's just have a quick recap of the upcoming events on Apex Racing TV. Of course, we have the final week of the season in the official series of iRacing. So, and many series of iRacing are getting decided this week. So, first of all, tomorrow at 14:30 GMT, the Formula Renault 3.5 Championship from Monza, that is round 11. On Monday, the triple header World GT from Le Mans, that is round 6, and that will be, of course, on the iRacing Esports network at 8 GMT. Then, at the same time, on this channel, on Apex Racing TV, the BSR MX5 Monday Cup final round from Bathurst, and then at 1:15 GMT between Monday and Tuesday, Ricmotech Sports Car Series Season 13 Round 5 from Interlagos. On Tuesday, also, we will have the all-important Race for Alex charity race for the beautiful Inside and Out charity, and that will be from Imola with the GT cars at 1950 GMT. But at the same time, on the iRacing Esports Network, the BSR MX5 Winter Series will crown its champion from Bathurst, round 12. On Wednesday, the iRacing Le Mans Series, the official series, will crown its champion as well. We will be live from the Silverstone circuit. And on Thursday, of course, double header once again, BSR Radical Series from Bathurst once again. So if you like Bathurst, you're in luck. And then we will be live from Sebring on for the Dynamics Sim Races World GT Series Season 3 Round 7. And then we will have on Sunday the Apex Racing League Formula 3.5 Championship from Spa. Also, don't forget that the World F3 are taking a break this week. So yes, we will keep you up to date with the upcoming races as they come along in week 13 and also going ahead, because of course the action never stops, and of course we are getting ready to announce the traditional week 13 special event. If I can give you just a little bit of spoiler, get your skip barber ready. But until then, I wish you a good night and happy racing.